welcome to another part of the tutorial series of how to make a YouTube video with multiple footages, how I learned it in DaVinci. Today we're going to go through nameplates. When you're dealing with multiple people that have similar voices or just relative deep timbres, it can be hard to distinguish between them, especially when all the characters look the exact same or you don't quite know who's who, essentially. It's always nice to know whose footage you're looking at, just to help with confusement or disorientation. So I've got a bit of a process here. So I've already kind of done a couple, but I just want to kind of run through basically what I do. So I just kind of take a text file, like a text video clip, I guess you'd call it, and it comes up as a transparent thing with just the text that you put on it. So I typically will start by finding a font that I like that will suit the video. So in this case, we're playing the Berglund Gnomes demo. And so I just literally typed gnomes into a font site and found this one. So basically make the file, I put the name in, which in this case is stool. I find the font name, I find his color, which we've kind of already pre-distinguished, is green, and then I just put it, usually it starts at center, right? So this, I guess 0, 0 is bottom left, that makes sense. So typically they'll start right in the middle here. So I just move it down into a place. It's not always in the bottom left. It can be on the top left, the top right, pretty much anywhere where there's not going to be overlapping text or HUD elements, because you don't want to be covering that kind of stuff. So I basically just place it. I size the track appropriate for the size of the footage, and then I move on to the next one. I kind of put my tracker there. I'll make my next one. And the first pass, I'm making them. And then once I've made them, I just am copying and pasting and resizing. So I'd move on to the second one and do a similar thing, but you'll notice the footage is a little stretched on one. So I did have to move the position of it a little bit. But it's the same process. So now that we have another repeat, so I'll put my head here. I'll take this one, I'll Control C and then Control V. And so that one's there. So then I can just resize it for that size it needs to be. Put my player head here. It's the same as the other one. I put that in, copy, paste, put this there, copy, paste, extend, put that there, copy, paste. All right, now we've gotten to a new one. So now that I'm on a new one, I'm going to copy and paste this. I'm going to resize it. I'm going to right click it. I'm going to go to clip color and I'm going to put it to its appropriate color, which is pink in this case. I'm going to change the text to bum and also the color to, actually I got it right here. That color, the position is good still, so it's still about the same as the other one. And then I can kind of keep moving on. So then now I look at this one. That's a Dan one, so I know that's blue or teal or whatever. And then it actually goes over. So I'm going to extend it past here. Put the playhead over there. Putting this playhead over here is going to be really helpful when you get pretty far in and you haven't used someone's footage in a while, because then you just Control and V. It'll bring you right to where you need to be. So say if I was like really close. So, and then I have to go back. Oh crap. I'm just holding Control and mouse scrolling. I'll click on the stool one. I'll Control C and then Control V, and it'll bring me right over to his footage. It just helps when there's really small bits and you can't quite see the name. But having in one of the previous videos, naming it with just a dash, this will really help just getting your footages with just the name or whatever kind of tell that will make it easier for you or for your editor to find, I guess. It's all about efficiency, and getting a procedure for something so that it's not you're not just wasting your time. I find working in a linear fashion like this really helps, because if you start doing it per person, you're running into like having to overlap and like I don't know. This is the way that I learned how to do it. So this is kind of or I guess not even learned, but this is the way that I taught myself how to do it. And this has worked for me. I like to just kind of throw on some music and just like, mindlessly Control C, Control V, and resize, and scroll back, and etc. etc. So then you can make it a little smaller sometimes. If I get smart, I can think about, if it's got a Y, it's probably the Riley footage. If it's got an N, it's probably a lowercase n, it's probably the Dan footage. You can kind of get into that headspace with it if you want to keep things nice and small so you can see more. It's always good to kind of look at what you're doing, because sometimes it doesn't need a name. Like this stuff doesn't really need a name.
Child of Nomian, ride the storm.
Because it doesn't really matter whose footage it is. So right here, I'll just take the name out because it doesn't need to be there. Also, it's always good to look, I think in the last one, if there's ever someone watching, like spectating, yeah, if there's someone spectating, you want to look at who they're spectating and then put that name there instead of the person whose footage it is, because that they're essentially getting another angle of that same person. So it's always good to like go back and look at what you've done. Once you're done, yeah, that's essentially it. You end up having this skew of colors going across the top, which will always have the name, and it keeps it nice and neat. The colors are vibrant and different enough that you can always tell who's who. In that way, I feel like that's the gist. I hope that clears anything up if you're wondering about nameplates. Thank you for watching, and keep tuned to the new videos that will surely come out in the near future to continue this series. Thank you for watching.